Next topic. I told you this was one of these catch-all lessons where we're picking up odds and ends. Questions. Any questions? Otherwise known as interrogatives. Hebrew has two ways to mark a question. How do we mark questions in English? All right, we use a question mark, right? How do we mark questions grammatically? Even without a question mark, there are two ways in English you can form a question. One is to use an interrogative word, right? We have what do we mean by interrogative words? They're pronouns and adverbs. These are the journalism questions, right? Who, what, where, when, why, how, all of those things. All right? Who, what, where, when stuff. What's the other way we make questions in English? We invert the word order, right? He came to dinner yesterday. He came over to the house last night. Make that into a question. Did he come? See, we change the form of the verb and we invert the word order, so we don't start with the subject, we start with the verb. He came becomes did he come, right? We would not have a normal declarative sentence, he did come, though it's a legitimate form of the verb, but we use a different verb form and we invert the word order. So we do it by something with the regular sentence, quite apart from adding a question mark at the end. Now, Hebrew has almost exactly the same two ways of forming a question. One is to use an interrogative word, usually a pronoun or an adverb, and Hebrew has its own lists of who, what, where, when, why words. Probably the most common is the word me, which means who. Now this is not the who that we had with a share. Don't confuse the whos, right? The man who came to dinner would be the relative pronoun a share. Who is coming to dinner would be the interrogative pronoun me. Got it? You can now fill out your little poem, by the way, of the who's and the he's. And the who's and the who's, right? Remember our pronouns? Who is he, and he is she, and me is who, and who is he, and he is she, and me is who, and who is he. Got it? All right. Oh, God. It's still Monday. Ma means what? Who is he, and he is she, and me is who, and ma means what? Lama is probably originally a combination of the preposition to and the word what. For what, or to what purpose, means why. Not how, but why. So here we got who, what, why, and there are other words for where and when, and I won't go into all of those. There's a few selected ones in the vocabulary. This becomes learning a few new words. But we could make a question simply by using interrogative words. So, mi ha'ish. Well, this isn't that difficult. Translate, mi ha'ish. Who is the man? Okay? All right? What did he do? I mean, you can make up anything you want here, and this is very simple. Now, here's the tricky part. There is a second way of making sentences into questions in Hebrew, and this is by using the now famous, much dreaded interrogative hey. An interrogative hey. The interrogative hey is yet another prefixed letter. It is the prefix hey. It's prefixed to the first word of the sentence as a hey with schwa, kind of like a prepositional prefix. Since the hey is the guttural letter, it's going to use a composite schwa, but it's essentially hey plus vocal schwa. How does this work? The interrogative hey takes a declarative sentence and turns it into a question. It's just like taking the sentence, he came for dinner, and turning it into a question. Okay? What is the question form of he came to dinner? Did he come to dinner? Is the question form of the sentence he came to dinner, who came to dinner? That's a whole different question. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? These are two different ways of forming different kinds of questions. The interrogative hey starts with a declarative sentence and turns it into a question, just as we can do it in English by inverting the word order. Example, Shalach eth ha-malach. Just a simple sentence. Shalach means he sent the messenger, right? How would you put that into a question in English? Now, Tim, what did you just say?
I said, who sent the message?
What's wrong with this? See, you've walked right into my trap. I carefully said it for you. That's a different question, all right? These are two different questions. Did he send the messenger? That's not the same question as who sent the messenger. And you made a mistake that lots of students do, that the minute you think question, you're thinking, I got to use one of these who, what, when, where words. And just as in Hebrew, so also in English, we can make questions in two ways. So you're going to turn the sentence into a question, and the way you do it in Hebrew is add an interrogative hey to the first word of the sentence. That's it. Okay? Now, panic time.